Mitch Johnson is the head football coach at Northwood High School in North Carolina. He's going to talk some mesh and shallow. We got 5 speakers lined up, and we already got people commenting in the chat, and people are slowly logging in. I'm going to tweet and all that lovely stuff. And Coach, the floor is yours, my friend.
Hey, first of all, I want to say thank you to Coach Bandstra for setting us up. Man, thanks for letting me get on here and speak. And none of the stuff that we're going to be talking about with shallow and mesh, none of it's going to be, any record-breaking, earth-breaking, shattering stuff. It's just the way that we run it here at Northwood. But I appreciate everybody that comes on. If you give me a follow or message me on Twitter, I'll do my best of getting back with you. You can ask any questions. So I'm a head football coach at Northwood High School, been here since last February, coming from a team and a program that had been running the Power I and Wing T for several years. And we were able to get in there, install our Power Raid offense, which is, a power downhill run game with the air raid principles and honestly the philosophy. And we were able to go 7-4 for the first winning season in about 7-8 years and made the playoffs. Had probably the number 1 offense, number 2 offense in the entire school's history. And and one of the big things that was good for us was mesh. And so, why I always combine mesh and shallow cross is it's one of the days when on Wednesdays, we work on mesh and shallow cross every day for the rest of our program's history as soon as it's installed. And it's a really good if-then for the air raid because, and once we get into it, is they're going to try and take away the mesh, the shallow cross, so then that's when you hit them with the dig. So with that little bit of explanation, I'm going to kind of get into how we would install it in our 2x2. So one thing that we'll do is we'll come into spread or spread tight. So if we go spread and they know that we're running mesh, they're going to get inside the numbers by a little bit. But if we go spread tight to kind of give a little bit of a compressed look, they'll come inside the hashes and we hope that the corner will come in. But if we're just in our normal spread, all right, we try to tell our guys that are going to be part of the mesh, they want to be within 5 yards of the tackles. And then the outside guys, like I said, they're going to line up right inside of the numbers or on top of the numbers. What both of them are, when we call this, all right, is an 8 to 10 yard out route. It's a nice little rhythm out. If you follow Doug Maddox and he talks about the rhythm. All right, so both of them have a nice 8 to 10 yard out. And so what we do with the quarterback is he kind of reads leverage from the get-go of which side he likes the most. And here's, depending on which side he likes the most based on leverage or based on matchups, that's where we'll move the running back, is either to the right or to the left. And what they'll do is they'll get lined up pretty much on the tackle and in front of the quarterback by about, we like to say that his heels will be on the toes of the quarterback. What the running back will then do is he has a swing. So if we like it to the right side, all right, we have our rhythm out on both sides, but the running back is going to be on the right side because the quarterback, for whatever reason, in this matchup, he likes that, and so he's going to set him to the right side. All right, so now that's super easy. So the quarterback has it's 1 to 2, and then we'll get into the mesh. So his first read is the out down to the swing. So they take away the out, but there's nobody in the flats. Then he'll throw it to the running back, and the running back can yell out, ball, 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 if there's nobody there, to make it easy for the quarterback, because as you can tell, we're going with a 5-man protection. All right, and the reason why we like the 5-man protection is we found so far that if we are releasing the running back, we don't have to really deal with many blitzers. All right, and it sets it easy for our blocking scheme, where we would love to make the defense have to guard 5 guys out there. So then we get into the mesh. All right, so what we like to do, because we have a big boy, 6'2", 6'3", 240. All right, he's going to be our mesh setter. All right, so his rule, okay, is he's going to get to 6, all right, and get across. All right, so he's going to get to 6 and he's going to go across. All right. Now, if the linebackers are not backing out and they're staying at 5, then he goes across their toes. So our rule is we look for 6, but if the backers are now not bailing, then you get in front of the middle linebacker and you run on their toes. All right, so that's how we set the depth for him. And as you can tell, we do a diagonal 45-degree cut. If you get vertical, it can really mess up the timing, and we're trying to hit this really fast. So we tell them a 45-degree cut, look at your landmark, all right, and then you're watching the opposite linebacker to kind of help with telling the Y here if he's going to sit or not. So he's going to go onto the toes of the lineman and go, about a yard in front of our H, and they're going to try and rub. They're going to try and clap hands. You've heard that all the time. Shoulder pads are going to hopefully touch, and they're going to try and cause a little bit of rub here for the linebackers. So we tell the guy with our H, because he's a big boy, we want him to almost set a pick. We want him to be a decoy. We want him to rub so this Y can get across. And we tell him to try and get across there as fast as possible, all right, so that there's no way that the linebackers can pick him up, all right? So now it goes, when we talk about our quarterback progression, is it goes 1 to 2 to 3, all right? Now let's get into what can happen with our mesh. If they're playing man, they're just going to go all the way across, but we also allow them that they can climb up as well. All right. So that's what happens if they're playing man. Okay. Then what happens if they are playing zone? Okay. And let's say that the backers are just dropping out. Our rules for them is as soon as they mesh and as soon as they get past the center, they can stop and show hands. All right. So that is how we run our mesh. And what they're doing is these two are communicating. All right. So let's see that H sees that this linebacker over here with his eyes sees that he is backing out. Well, he knows that he's probably going to sit, and now he sees that they're playing zone. He's going to tell Y, all right, sit. And they're going to try. And as soon as they can find green grass, they're going to sit, show hands, and the quarterback is going to throw them open. And what we tell the quarterback is to try and throw it to the shoulder where there's least resistance, whether somebody's covering them or just where there's less of the opposite jerseys in that territory. All right. If we are going across and we see that it's man, they're going to say, go, 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 go. And it just means you're going to be hauling butt and go underneath me and get open. All right. So like I said, the progression will go from our out to our swing to our mesh. So that's 1, 2 to 3. Okay. We do not, as soon as the quarterback decides he's not going to the left, that's dead. Now, if he has the time, he can come back to this back mesh. All right. But we have to make sure that we're doing our job in pass pro. All right. So that is our most basic version of when we run our mesh. Okay. So now some people will be like, all right, well, what do teams do to try and take that away? So most of the time what people try to do is that they're going to try and play cover 2 because they know that air raid cover 3 is just not it with 4 verts, and just if they're playing off right here, you got the outs and all that good stuff. So what they're going to do is they're going to try and play cover 2. All right. And these linebackers are going to stay jamming. All right. And they're going to have this corner trying to press or play both of these guys. All right. So our answer then is we like to go shallow cross. All right. And another version of mesh, but I want to kind of do our if then. So that's what they're trying to do. All right. Here's what we're going to move into because we can line up super fast. And if we see that that's what they're going to do, all right, now we're going to make a super easy call of running shallow cross. All right. So we can run shallow cross to any guy. All right. But the guy that we usually like to run it to is either the Y or the H. So once again, what we do with the guys, we're going to go Y shallow cross. He's going to be within 3 yards, all right, of the tackle. Okay. The rules, and this is where it's great for how we run our mesh. If you are on the side as the outside receiver with the guy that's tagged for the shallow cross, all right, you have that 8 to 10 yard rhythm out, and you are the first read for the quarterback. All right. Then if wherever the shallow cross is coming from, running back, you're going to replace it, and he can be lined up on the left or the right, but he is getting out here as fast as he can. And he has the same rules. If there's nobody on the flats, he can yell ball. Then we go to our Y shallow cross. He cannot get more than 3 yards, but we want him to get across as fast as he can on the heels of the D line. All right. This is where it gets fun, is on the other side. All right. We want our X to be lined up outside of the numbers and our H to be about 5 to 7 yards outside the tackle. He's going to do an outside release. All right. 8 to 10 yard dig route. Sorry, I did not draw very well there. 8 to 10 yard dig route. All right. We do let him, if they are taking away this shallow, because just like we said, this is why we would run this, is that they're taking away that shallow. If he sees that there's an opening right here because the safeties are staying back, because you'll see why in a minute, we have let him just sit down right here. So it's a nice, easy little throw for the quarterback if both linebackers are getting out of the picture and the safety is vacant or is taking care of this backside route, which we run a post. So they know, our guys know, hey, if I'm on the side with the dig and I'm opposite of the shallow cross, I'm going to run a post. So what we'll then do is if we see that they're getting nosy with one linebacker or the linebackers are getting nosy with our shallow cross, all right, and then we see that the safety is getting nosy with our dig, we'll hit that post right over the top of them. And it depends on what our guy and our quarterback is most comfortable, whether it's going to be a little two ball with a little bit of air over it, or if we see that there's no safety there and we want to hit a home run, he can throw that ball as deep as possible. All right, but if they're playing that cover two and that safety is flying out because he either sees him, all right, or that he sees this out, all right, then we try to hit that safety, okay, right in that window right there because this corner is bailing right here. So right out of that cut, we'll try and hit that post right there. But if we're playing, if we see that he's flying down because he sees this out immediately, sees that dig, then we'll hit the post and put some air under it, depending on what that safety does. All right, so what our progression is for our shallow cross is pre-snap 1. All right, but if we don't like that, then we do this. We go 1 to 2 to 3. And like I said, if we see that they're getting nosy, then we'll actually just go 1, 2 to 3. And the oh crap check down would be the running back. But we always start with this rhythm out because if they're giving it, we're going to take it every time. It's just like the old school philosophy on hitches. But we like to take our out because you hit that out, that's a first down. If you're, 1st and 10, whatever, that's 10 yards and you're making a corner or a safety, possibly have to tackle one-on-one. So we'll go, like I said, we'll go original is pre-snap. If he doesn't like that at all, we go 1 to 2, down to 3. If we see that that we have an advantage with the safety, then we'll go 1, 2 to 3, and we're pretty much reading that safety. We'll go backer to safety, and we do that outside release because we're hoping that the backer will run with that dig and it'll clear some open space because our Y in our offense is usually our fastest guy, and we just want to try and get the ball to him out in space. But we also have a really good athlete at running back. We got a D1 tight end, and then our outside receivers are both 6'2", 6'3", and above. So we have some weapons to use. All right, and so it's just a matter of trying to protect the quarterback and being successful with that. And now here's the best part with this is now if we want to do a shallow cross, all the rules are super easy that it almost just mirrors each other. All right, so H has the shallow cross, and like I said, we can line up. Running back doesn't even have to get on the other side. All right, so Y has the shallow cross. He knows that he needs to get a little bit closer. And he's got toe or the heels of the D line getting across as fast as he can. X knows that, hey, I got a rhythm out, so I need to get inside of there to give myself some room on this out. All right, running back can stay there. He's got the swing, and now these guys have the outside release, 8 to 10 yard rhythm dig, and then we have our 10-yard post. And we can do all this super fast if we see that they're trying to take away mesh. Mesh was super effective with us, so I'm sure teams try to figure that out. And what you'll see, and it's the same way that we'll use the OTB route, is if they're trying to come and take away, then there's a nice little 2-ball window right there for that dig window. So that's what we'll do with our if-then, all right, with our shallow cross. Now, the other thing that we'll also now do with mesh, because our quarterback understands our progression so well and they're comfortable with it, that none of it really takes it away. We will also go with our mesh post wheel. All right, one of the things that we loved doing was when you go spread and you start messing with defenses to see how well they are at their responsibilities, what we'll do is we'll send Y in motion. All right, so we'll go spread and he'll go in motion. All right, and now we're going to run mesh post wheel. All right, so now Z will know that he's running the mesh, so he's got to get a little bit closer. All right, and he already knows that he is going to be the under guy. So we go 6 here. He's getting underneath. All right, and now we have our post and this guy's going in motion, and he's got his wheel, and then our running back is running our little swing to wheel rail route. All right. Because what we're going to do is if they're trying to play cover 2 and try to take away that mesh, now we're going to see, all right, how do they handle going from a balance set to trips? What's their trips check? Can they make it in time? And if they get stuck in cover 2, the best part about this is if this running back is picked up by the corner, all right, and he doesn't communicate as he's expanding out, and this safety does not pay attention, he drives down on the mesh, it's a home run ball. And we hit that 3 or 4 times this past year. All right. The other thing that we're doing is if they're stuck in cover 2, well, now this corner, once again, if he lets him go, this safety, if the post gets picked up by the safety because this corner sees this mesh, now all of a sudden it's on that side. So it's a good way that we like to do it if people are playing cover 2. If they're trying to take away, if they're trying to take away our explosive most used play, well, then that's one of the checks we have is we'll go shallow cross, all right, or we'll go mesh post wheel. This next year, we're going to get into mesh rail, all right, and so let's go into what our rules will be with that, all right, is that we are going to have our H will continue to run our mesh, all right, our Y is going to run the under mesh, all right, and then our Z is run the OTB. And what we're telling them is wherever the center is, you're getting 10 yards and you're hooking up. And now here's the best part for our quarterbacks, all right? They still have that 8 to 10 yard rhythm out. And so now what the read will be is if he likes that, he can go ahead and take that, doesn't have to worry about me getting mad or anything if he has the matchup. If he doesn't like that, then what we do is it actually goes rail as the number 1, and then it goes the OTB to the mesh. So the mesh is always in our reach for our quarterback, our progression is it's number 3. All right. That way it allows everybody to get settled and get separated. All right. And then what we should do is with this OTB, it's a 10-yard sprint there. So you should be able to get there faster than the mesh is going to develop. So it gives that quarterback time. Okay, if I don't like the rail, all right, they're having to deal with this mesh. Is the OTB wide open? Then you can throw it. Otherwise, it goes down to the mesh. And like I said, we have that pre-snap out. So that with our shallow cross and our mesh, we always have that rhythm out to make sure that we are safe with it. Otherwise, we go into our progression, and like I said, we'll go rail will be the number 1 to the OTB to that. So now I think, Coach, what I got about what do you think about 7-8 minutes till I got to take questions?
Yeah, 7-8 minutes.
All right. So now we're going to go into a little bit of our mesh and show you a little bit of that, and then also into our mesh shallow cross. All right. So here's one of the things that we were talking about with our mesh post wheel. All right. So what you'll see is this guy is running his mesh. He's got the mesh, and then because he's on the same side and not having a motion, what we'll actually do is he'll act like he's running an arrow into a wheel, and then he's got his post. And what you'll see is our quarterback, what we saw on film was when we go single receiver side, that safety's playing midfield. All right. And they're trying to take away our trips look. And we know that this linebacker is responsible for the flats out to him. So if we feel like we could get our running back out there, then we were going to take a shot. All right. So this is the second drive of the game. We scored on our first one, came back from film, and we saw this and we're like, hey, if we get a chance, let's take this. And so our quarterback, we made a stop and he's like, hey, let's take a shot. And so we did. All right. So here's mesh post wheel. Quarterback is taking a look at our mesh. He knows that the rail is number 1, but he doesn't want that to automatically get taken away. So we have his eyes on the mesh, which freezes this linebacker. Linebacker is worried about the mesher. This guy's running with them, and right down the sidelines is our mesh. All right, and the team that we're playing is no slouch. They made it to the 3rd round of the playoffs this past year. All right, so it's one of those things that we saw it on film. All right, and we hit it quickly. Okay, now here we go. This is mesh post wheel, and this is after this team has seen us run this a couple of times. But you'll see they get nosy once again with our mesh. guys worried about this corner, and you see it's 3rd down and 10, and we take the wheel route right down the side. And we actually have both wheels open, and this is what we're talking about right here is he thinks that an arrow, so he's going to drive down this arrow. We have this post, and now as soon as we feel like we can get him, we run that wheel, and we got on both sides. All right. So that's what we'll do. Now, here we go. Here's our mesh. All right. So this is in the playoffs. So here's our spread tight set that we'll do. All right. Because it brings it in. And as you can tell, it works because our the corners come in. So we could still have leverage. And you have all this grass, which is what we teach our quarterback of reading grass. All right. And so we'll take a look at the mesh in the middle of the field. Our Y is a new guy in this position. Our Y was suspended for the game. All right. But as you can tell, you make 3 guys run into each other. All right. And now you got them worried about that H flashing in front of their face. And we take it. Now we're 1-on-1 with a safety. And we're able to score. All right. This is before the touchdown on the same drive. All right. And this is where we're just in our normal spread. And here's our mesh. And our guy paused right there. All right, because he saw them dropping, so he was going to sit. All right, and then he gets going. And there's mesh nice and easy. All right, let's go to show the outside. So here's what we like to do with the outside. All right, so our quarterback liked this side. All right, this is our all-conference guy, 11 touchdowns this year. All our receivers are all-conference, but he had 11 touchdowns, a dynamic player. We like this matchup we had on him. As you can tell, they're playing far off. So we know that as soon as we snapped it, we knew that they were going to bail. All right. So he liked the matchup, and it's a nice pitch and catch because we throw this so much. He throws it before the ball is even out of his cut. Or he throws it before the receiver's even out of the cut. Nice, easy ball. And now you're making people tackle. All right. Here we are again. This is another team that made a 3rd round run of the playoffs. All right. And so right here, they did a lot of moving late. All right. And so we also were dealing with guys blitzing. So we kept our running back in. But we saw our matchup and we took it. And he throws it right before he has even turned. Boom. And now you make a cornerback and make them rally and tackle. All right. And then here we are. I want to show you how simple it is so this kid was just a basketball player, transferred in this past year. This is only his, I think, 1st or 2nd varsity game. This is our backup quarterback who also made all conference. But this is where we work on it so much and why mesh can just be so easy. This is against another team that made it to the 3rd round in our conference. All right. And we end up throwing for 400 yards on them, and mesh just killed them. And here's why is, people are bailing off. All right. Stiff hips. We have it on both sides. And we hit them with a nice little out. All right. And then mesh post wheel. We like it down in the red zone as well. Because as you can tell, it gets his head turning. He thinks he's got an arrow. He thinks he's got him. And so he'll have him in the corner. And then we run that little post right to the goal post. Nice, easy window and touchdown. All right. And now what I'll try to do, let me get out of this. And I'm going to go to our shallow cross.
Got about 3 minutes, Coach, give or take.
Yes, sir. And I'll show you. So this is why we went to it. All right. And you'll see that they collapse down, leaves a nice, easy window with our shallow cross. That one. And then let's go to this one right here. So you'll see that because of how fast he is, getting across the line of scrimmage, there's all this grass. It makes a nice, easy, friendly throw for the quarterback. But all right, Coach, I'm good, and I'm good open for any questions.
All right, can you go back to your playbook real quick? Because I just want it'll make the visual part of that easier.
Yes, sir. Let me get there.
I do have just more of a curious question unless somebody types into something. So do me a favor.
Yes, sir.
Keep twins to the left side and put tight end wing to the other side. I don't care which. Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. Tight end wing. So put somebody on the line and then put an actual wing there next to him too. Okay, so just without knowing any other factors, how would you draw mesh shallow out of this?
Perfect. Got you, coach. All right. So if we're keeping our rules the same with mesh, all right. So then what we'll do, okay, is we can actually run him on the corner. All right. And then he can either do a swing or hit that out, that little arrow route. And then nothing else changes for these guys. You got your out, setting the mesh, and going across. So that's how we would draw it up. Or you can even have him as the wing. He can still run that 8 to 10 yard out. But I've seen at that corner, because they're going to bring people in right here, you're going to have all that green grass to throw. But once again, you could run that arrow. So that's the best part about this, is it doesn't matter what formations you use. If you keep those rules, nothing changes for your players.
Okay. And now obviously the X to the front side is the pre-snap, give me. But what about at what point would you hit the corner? Or would you ever?
When we hit the corner is if we see that they're playing inside leverage and they're leaving all this open, we can change to this being our number one read.
Okay.
And we have it wristbands, and so we can tag that. So if we see in this formation, if they're giving us all this grass, then I would just go to whatever gold 11, and I would go where he knows that his first read goes 1 to 2 to 3.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we like to run this at a bunch. So what we'll do is let's bring him and go here. What we'll actually do is, sorry about that, is he'll be the mesher, and he's actually, our rule is because he's not a slot, he's the one that actually comes under, and then the running back will run his arrow, and he can run it to either, or his swing to either side, and then H has his arrow immediately. And so we completely flood that area. That's one way that we'll run out a bunch.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
No, perfect, coach. I was just curious. Obviously, because again, high school, I see high school and college has kind of shifted. You're going from hyper spread to a lot of tight end wing sets. So I was just curious. Also got to keep up my moniker of gap down backer and my namesake of I got what's it called, a reputation to uphold here, coach. That's a
yeah. And then if you do shallow cross, I know you asked that too.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, my bad. What we'll do with shallow cross is let's just say that it's RY running it. Then the rules really do stay the same here, and then he'll just have his outside release dig, and then he's got his post. Running back now has has the swing out here, and then Z still has that out route. And it might not even be a bad thing with that condensed set, because once again, if he's playing in here and you can hide him as some type of a wing or condensed receiver, you have all that grass right there. And if they're worried about him, there might not be anybody on the running back. So you just keep your rules the same.
Yeah.
And we'll run drive out of that as well, through receivers to a side. And we just keep it called shallow cross to keep it simple for the kids. And they know they just keep their normal routes.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect, coach.
Yes, sir.
Well, coaches, as we get ready for our next speaker, give coach a follow on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, check out his YouTube channel, which has been slowly growing. I've watched a couple of his videos on there. His mesh video. What else have I watched on there? I actually pulled it up right now. I've watched his mesh stick off the top of my head, and then kind of some of the stuff on his Powerade stuff. But if you want to find Coach, it's Coach Mitch Johnson on the YouTube. Coach Mitch Johnson on Twitter. I know Coach has been speaking at quite a few things this offseason. They've had some really good statistical seasons. So if you want to learn more about kind of what they do, Air Raid / Powerade, I think as he more titles it, don't hesitate to reach out to Coach. Coach, thank you. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
And again, if you guys have any questions, reach out to Coach.
Yep. And I'm actually about to drop a buck sweep video right now on YouTube. So
there you go.
Yes, sir.
Join the dark side, my friend. Join the dark side.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. It's beautiful.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a great night. Thank you for everybody watching.